Today we want to do something a little different. We want to put the traditional headlines of geopolitics aside, the trade wars, the summit handshakes, and the leaders' meetings. Instead, we are going to look at a side of the BRICS development that is often hidden behind laboratory doors, yet it is arguably more vital to the future of humanity than any treaty. It is a complex topic, but its relevance is growing every single day. We are talking about the quantum revolution. We will try to make this as simple as we can, but the implications are anything but. Let's start with a specific moment. The recent BRICS Quantum Technology Summit held in Moscow. While the mainstream media was focused on oil prices, the scientists gathered in that room were discussing something much more powerful, the foundation of a new sovereign digital civilization. The Moscow summit marked more than routine diplomacy. It transformed the Global South's quantum backbone from concept into a plan. For the first time, we saw a unified commitment to quantum as a service. What does that mean? It means the larger powers, Russia, China, and India, are opening their $100 million quantum laboratories to the rest of the bloc. It's a model of shared intelligence that we simply haven't seen in the West. But before we can understand why the summit was a turning point, we have to answer the most basic question. What is this technology, and why is every major power suddenly obsessed with it? To understand quantum, you have to forget everything you knew about how computers work. A normal computer, whether it is one in your pocket or a massive server, thinks in bits. A bit is like a light switch. It's either on or off, 0 or 1. Every video you watch and every email you send is just a trillion switches flipping 0 or 1. A quantum computer uses qubits. Imagine a coin spinning on the table. While it is spinning, it isn't heads or tails. It's a blur of both at the same time. This is called superposition. Why is this important for a nation? Because a normal computer has to solve problems one step at a time, like a person walking through a maze and hitting every dead end until they find the exit. A quantum computer, it is like being able to work down every path of the maze simultaneously. For a government, this is the ultimate tool. It can model new medicines in days that would normally take decades. It can optimize a country's entire power grid in seconds. And most importantly, it can crack the unbreakable codes that protect every bank account and military secret on the planet. You might wonder why we are calling this a sovereignty issue if it's just about faster computers. The reality is that our modern world is built on a very fragile foundation of mathematics. We protect our data using encryption, essentially a very hard math problem that a normal computer would take 1 billion years to solve. But a quantum computer doesn't care how hard the math is. It uses the laws of physics to bypass the problem entirely. This creates what scientists call the quantum threat. If one side of the world gets a working quantum computer before the other, they effectively hold the master key to the entire digital world. Survival drives the BRICS countries more than scientific curiosity alone. They have realized that if they rely on Western-controlled quantum hardware or software, they're essentially handing over their digital front door keys to a foreign power. At the Moscow summit, it became clear that the BRICS core is taking 3 very different but complementary paths to solve this problem. Outpacing early tests, China now leads in quantum hardware. Not merely theoretical, their Jiuzhang 3.0 operates on superconducting tech, delivering speed beyond top US systems by a factor of 1 quadrillion. They are building the physical quantum cloud that will allow scientists in Brazil or South Africa to log in and use massive processing power from thousands of miles away. Russia, meanwhile, is pioneering what they call Qudit. While the West is trying to build bigger and bigger machines with more switches, Russian scientists are making the switches themselves more complex. By using multi-level particles, they can pack the same amount of power into a much smaller, more stable machine. This is a brilliant workaround to the supply chain sanctions that try to block them from getting specialized Western parts. India is focusing on the quantum city model, not merely assembling hardware, The effort grows around full environments where innovation thrives. By investing $730 million into their national quantum mission, they're turning cities like Bengaluru into global hubs for quantum startups. They want to be the software layer of this new world. One of the most fascinating revelations from the Moscow summit was the role of Rosatom, Russia's state nuclear corporation. In the West, we think of quantum as a Silicon Valley thing, an app or a website. But in the BRICS world, quantum is heavy industry. Rosatom is using quantum computing to design the next generation of nuclear reactors. These Generation 4 reactors are designed to be closed loop, meaning they produce almost zero waste. But the physics inside those reactors is so complex that a normal computer can't model it accurately. By fusing the atom and the qubit, BRICS nations are securing their energy future. Countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, and Iran are now looking to this quantum nuclear nexus as a way to leapfrog traditional energy limitations. Not merely installing reactors, these states adopt networks fine-tuned by quantum logic. Years beyond today's norm, such systems operate on precision once thought unreachable. Progress unfolds quietly, yet its reach stretches far into tomorrow. Even though we said we would put geopolitics aside, the technology inevitably circles back to how we live our lives, and that means money. During the summit, there was significant talk about quantum key distribution. This is a way of sending information using particles of light. If anyone, any intelligence agency or hacker, tries to intercept that light, the particles change their state. The sender and receiver immediately know that the link has been compromised. This is the foundation of the quantum secured financial layer. By using satellites like China's Micius to beam these quantum keys between BRICS capitals, they are creating a financial network that is physically impossible to hack or sanction. It bypasses the Western-controlled NDC cables and the SWIFT messaging system entirely. It is the ultimate digital fortress for a multipolar economy. The most human side of this story is what happens to the smaller nations. In the old model of technology, you either built it yourself, which costs billions, or you bought it from a monopoly, which costs your sovereignty. The BRICS Quantum Technologies Forum is proposing a third way, technological plurality. By sharing laboratory infrastructure, a scientist in Vietnam can run experiments on a Russian ion trap computer. A researcher in Belarus can use Chinese superconducting circuits to develop new cancer treatments. This is the payoff. It ensures that the quantum age doesn't become another era of haves and have-nots. It's a shared technological destiny that is being built from the ground up, designed to be resilient against external pressure. So, when we think about the Moscow summit, we shouldn't view it simply as a meeting of politicians, especially since there were very few of them. Instead, we should see them as the architects of a new reality. We are moving past an era where power was defined by who had the most factories or the most tanks. In the 21st century, the greatest advantage is sovereign intelligence, the ability to process information, secure your wealth, and power your civilization on your own terms. The Global South is no longer just a passenger in the technological revolution. By building this quantum backbone, they're ensuring that the future of humanity is not a linear progression of the past, but a superposition of all our possible sovereign destinies. The world is changing not just on the maps, but at the subatomic level. And as we have seen today, that might be the most important shift of all. Stay ahead of the curve, like and share this video and subscribe. And if you can, support us with a super thanks or via Buy Me a Coffee. Let me know your thoughts and thanks for watching.